discuss before we go. Keep the comments coming, the lively discussion. Even the trolls are live. Now I see you trolls. Welcome to the watch. You might learn something. Maybe we can change your heart and your mind. If we can, Jesus surely can. So let's see. And by the way, trolls, just so you know, in all seriousness, what your viewers we love, we're delivering the news here from a biblical perspective, unapologetic. Okay, a few more notes here before we go. We covered a lot, but one thing I want to point out, this operation, and by the way, if you missed yesterday's live stream, folks, check it out. Because if there's any questions, in the madness of some here in the West, the so-called intellectuals and academics in some Western circles, pro-Hamas, Hamas apologists, anti-Israel, anti-Semites, there have been all sorts of alternative narratives that they've been shaping up, trying to even deny Hamas culpability, saying Hamas didn't target civilians, even though Hamas themselves filmed it on their phones and posted it on every social media account. Nonetheless, check out yesterday's live stream. Here on the channel, it's on the homepage, it's under newscast, go there. We shared comments from a top Hamas official. He appeared on Russian TV this week, and he laid out in stunning and brutally honest, honesty and Hamas in the same sentence is very rare for me to use, but brutally frank. I was astounded to hear how this attack was planned, who was involved, and who, according to this top Hamas official, Hamas chatted with in the wake of the attack. He made calls to Turkey, he made calls to Russia. I'm not saying Turkey and Russia were involved in the attack, that's not what I'm saying. But it shows you who Hamas considers to be their friends. Clearly, no surprise to Turkey. Erdogan, the radical president of Turkey right now, a vocal Hamas supporter. Not an understatement to say that. And by the way, the leader of a NATO member nation, more like NATO in name only under his rule. And then Russia, according to this Hamas official, quote, Russia sympathizes with us. Now that's a top Hamas official saying. We didn't get comment from a Turkish official, Russian official. But I just thought it was very interesting and worth a look for you, again, yesterday's live stream, to hear how he really laid out the support network and who Hamas considers their friends. Again, I didn't say Turkey and Russia were involved in this attack. It's not what I'm saying. I'm being very clear here. What I'm saying is, this top Hamas official said that in the wake of the attack, Hamas touched base.
Jerusalem will become like a burden from stone. Jerusalem will be
Not to say we did it and celebrate. I'm sure probably try to galvanize some sort of diplomatic support. Interesting nonetheless. Last week, this operation by this operation clearly referring to Al-Aqsa was so complicated. Al-Aqsa was pretty quiet. Hamas called it the day of rage, the day of global jihad, all eyes on Al-Aqsa to me. Many times on a Friday prayer, still out of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, like 50,000 people on the Temple Mount. There were about 5,000. Crowds of people on the mosque. But not all. So this is quiet.
That Hamas called this operation so they have used the Al-Aqsa
big anti-Israel protests. But keep an eye on Jerusalem. It was no coincidence, folks, and I close with this, that Hamas would call this operation Al-Aqsa Flood. They have used time and time again the Al-Aqsa Mosque and Jerusalem basically as a cudgel around the region flared up, big anti-Israel protests. But around the region flared up, big anti-Israel protests. But keep an eye on Jerusalem. It was no coincidence, I close with this, that Hamas would call this operation Al-Aqsa Flood. They have used time and time again. They have used big anti-Israel protests. But big anti-Israel protests. But keep an eye on Jerusalem. It was no coincidence, and I close with this, that Hamas would call this operation Al-Aqsa Flood. They have used time and time again the Al-Aqsa protests, but
would call this operation al-Aqsa flood. They have used
Hamas would call this operation
al-Aqsa flood. Now in Jerusalem, it was no coincidence. Now in Jerusalem, now in Jerusalem, now in Jerusalem, it was no coincidence. Now in Jerusalem, it was no coincidence, folks. And I close with this: that Hamas would call this operation al-Aqsa flood.
That Hamas would call this operation al-Aqsa flood.
That Hamas would call this operation al-Aqsa flood.
They have used
Time and this.
They have used
This.
They have
That
used
Hamas. This.
This.
That Hamas would call this.
But-
This.
but-
That Hamas would call this
but-
operation al-Aqsa flood.
It was no
Would
coincidence.
call this operation al-Aqsa flood. They have used time and time. They have used time. Aqsa flood. Aqsa flood. Aqsa flood.
That
But-
Hamas would
But keep an eye on Jerusalem. It was no coincidence, folks. And I close with
that
this:
Hamas would call this operation
Aqsa flood.
They have
Now in
used
Jerusalem,
time and time
now in
again.
Jerusalem, now in Jerusalem, it was no coincidence, folks. And I close with this: that Hamas
They
would.
have used
Now in Jerusalem,
They have
now in
used
Jerusalem, it
They
was
have
no
used
coincidence,
time
folks. And I
and
close
again
with this: that Hamas would
They
call
have
this
used
operation al-Aqsa flood. They have used time and time again the al-Aqsa coincidence, folks.
as an excuse to
Coincidence,
launch
folks. I
attacks.
close with this:
Time again,
that
time again,
they have used time and time again the al-Aqsa mosque. They have used time and time again the al-Aqsa mosque in Jerusalem. Time again the al-Aqsa
They
mosque
have an
to,
obsession with the
as an excuse to launch attacks against. Time again the al-Aqsa mosque in Jerusalem. Time again the al-Aqsa mosque in Jerusalem. Basically as a cudgel against Israel, as an excuse to launch attacks against Israel. And they have an obsession with the al-Aqsa mosque and taking Jerusalem, but not just them. The prophet Zechariah talks about this. He says that the day is coming when every nation will come against Jerusalem. Jerusalem will become like a burdensome stone, like a cup of trembling. Every nation that comes against Jerusalem will be everyone covets Jerusalem. In particular, the Temple Mount is the most coveted piece of real estate in the world. Jerusalem will become like a burdensome stone, like a cup of trembling. Jerusalem will become like a burdensome stone, like a cup of trembling. Every nation that comes against it,
They have an
will be
obsession with the They have an obsession
Jerusalem, in particular the temple, to launch attacks against Israel.
not just
To launch attacks against Israel. And they have an obsession with the al-Aqsa mosque, and
not just that.
they have an obsession with the al-Aqsa mosque, and they have an obsession with the al-Aqsa mosque and taking Jerusalem. But not just them. Taking Jerusalem. Taking Jerusalem. Taking Jerusalem. But not just them. The prophet Zechariah talks about this. He says, but not just them. But not just them. The prophet Zechariah talks about this. He says that the day is coming Zechariah talks. Prophet Zechariah talks. Prophet Zechariah talks. He says that there is coming when every nation comes against Jerusalem. Jerusalem. When every Jerusalem will come against Jerusalem, Jerusalem will become like a burdensome stone, like a cup of trembling. Jerusalem will become like a burdensome. Jerusalem, Jerusalem will become like a burdensome stone, like a cup of trembling. Every nation that comes against it, Jerusalem that comes against it, Jerusalem that comes against it, burdensome stone. Every nation that comes against it, Jerusalem will be Jerusalem will become like a burdensome stone, like a Jerusalem will be Jerusalem will become like a burdensome stone, like a cup of trembling.